Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. I don't usually talk about current events and what's going on in the news too much, um, but I've been watching what's been going on in the Ukraine for about good 5 years already. I used to read some different blogs that people had put out who were in the Ukraine. They were kind of preparedness blogs, kind of things that they were doing, and kind of how life was there. I like reading those firsthand accounts. And there, like some of the things that were said in those blogs, kind of mirrors some of the things that I've been told over the years, that it can't happen here. That's what we thought at the beginning. It can't happen here. That's not going to happen. Things are going to work out. And unfortunately, that's not the case. Things did happen, and things were not what people expected them to be. And I guess as far as historical references go to what's going on over there, I think a perfect example is Poland in 1938 and the beginning of 1939. And I would invite anybody to research that if you don't already know about that already. People in Poland didn't think that anything was going to happen. Right up until August of 1938, people were still going to work. They were still going on picnics with their families. They thought diplomacy was going to work. It's all going to work out, but it didn't work that way. And Inevitably, what happened, if you didn't know, is Germany invaded, and it started a real hard road for everybody in Poland. And one of the first things that the Germans did was is they rounded up what they called the elite, and it was all people who might have jobs like what you have. Leaders, community leaders, people who were in charge of different things. They said that they were the elite. They rounded them up, and they did away with them. And it was, the beginning of a long, long road for the people in Poland. We had a lot of German immigrants around here. Our area was pretty much founded by German immigrants, and the reason there were so many German immigrants around here is they hated what was going on in Germany, so that's why they came over here. So there was some real strong feelings on that when I was a kid growing up, but it can happen anywhere. These type of things can happen anywhere. War and civil strife and civil war and these kind of things, they can happen anywhere. They've been happening all over the world back as time eternal. I mean, we're not so big and so powerful that we think that we can master everything. And that is another point. In this day and age, you don't necessarily have to defeat your enemy. You just have to keep him busy with something else. And I think you're seeing a lot of that go on right now. The United States is busy with a lot of things. There's a lot of things going on. There's people, leaving the military for different reasons. There was what happened in Afghanistan. These are all things that have weakened the United States to a point where other countries can kind of do what they think, and that gets down to the resiliency of the people. You can take 100 Americans from any walk of life, and then you can take 100 Russians from any walk of life, and you can put them in an austere, bad situation. Which group of people do you think is going to last longer? Do you think it's going to be the Americans, or you're going to think it's going to be the Russians? Americans are not used to the adversity that goes on in other countries, and therefore our resiliency is no longer what it used to be. You go back and you look at World War II, the people that won World War II survived the Depression, so they already had a long go of it, so to speak. They had a long period where they needed to survive bad situations. And I think that's a lot of the reason why we won World War II and the years after World War II were so good, because those people were in charge. Well, those people aren't around anymore. They're not in those main leadership positions that they were back in the 1950s. You look at how World War II started. It was basically a land grab, and that's kind of what's going on over in the Ukraine right now. Germany marched into the Rhineland, and nobody stopped them. Germany annexed the Sudetenland, nobody stopped them. And the world powers at the time, and I actually read where people said this in Poland. They're like, oh well, Great Britain and France, they're gonna get that worked out, because Great Britain and France, they were world superpowers at the time. But that didn't really matter. Looking back in hindsight, they weren't as powerful as they thought they were. And other forces were at work. But that's basically what's happening in the Ukraine right now. It's been a land grab for the last 5 years, or maybe a little bit longer. Land was just annexed, and that's just how it is. And that's how things can deteriorate, and things can, come up out of nowhere. Surprises are a prepper's bread and butter. We're supposed to be ahead of the curve when different things happen. And this is just one of those things that I've been watching and I wanted to talk about. It can happen here, and it has happened here in the past, and I just want everybody to have a certain amount of preparedness in place. Keep these things in your mind. These things should always be in the back of your mind. They should always be on your radar. What if the worst does happen? What if this takes place or that takes place? How would that affect my everyday life? And then those are the things that we look at, and then you can build your preparedness from there. But just something I wanted to discuss with you guys this morning over my coffee. Well, I got a fire going here, fire started here. Just something to keep in mind. And like I said, I would invite everyone out there who doesn't know or hasn't looked into any of that, look into 1938 in Poland, what was going on, and the beginning first 8 months of 1939, what life was like in Poland. There was that always. It was in the background that something was going on, but it wasn't really. It was too late by the time things. By the time the ball started rolling, it was too late. There was nothing they could do at that point. So, you guys keep that in mind. Just something to think about. But anyway, this is Modern Refugee. I appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys get a little information, a little entertainment out of my video. Just something to think about here today.